What is up, Hawks Nation? Welcome back to the HawksFanTV Podcast. I am your co-host, Derek Freeze. If you're watching on YouTube, you notice this right away. Max Face is not here this evening. He will not be joining me, so I am flying solo. He will be back next week. If this is your first time listening, welcome. This is my first time running the podcast solo, so if you love it, great. If you don't, hey, go listen to some of our earlier stuff, or tune in next week as well. Mac is the heart and soul of this show. So very blessed that he tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to come co-host over the summer. This week's episode, we're just going to talk about the preseason. 4 of the 5 preseason games have been played since Mac and I last episode when we did our season preview. And let's face it, guys, I'm not going to go game for game with this because preseason for sports is kind of like methadone for a heroin addict. It's not quite the real thing, but it'll hold you over. And, in preseason, as we saw with the Hawks, guys were sitting, the teams were playing were sitting. We're not really running game plans against who we're playing. We're just kind of running our stuff. So really what I want to do is not to really go game by game, but kind of just go the vibes of what I'm seeing, from my take on what I'm seeing from the preseason action so far. It starts off with, there's basically 5 big things I've noticed about, the Hawks in preseason. Mind you, we've been playing, the first game, Hunter didn't play for a couple games. The last game against the Pacers are arguably our best 3 players, or best 2, hands down. Trey and Murray didn't play. Then CC also said as well. But there's 5 things I kind of noticed across all the games. And that's for the overall team. And it starts off first and foremost with aggression on both sides of the ball. We are being aggressive, pushing the pace. We're being aggressive on defense, trying to get steals. Lowering our heads, getting to the rim. It's just, I noticed overall the team had a lot more aggression about it. Another thing that I really noticed is, and I kind of already said it, was pace. Quinn wants us to be running faster, get the ball in the transition. And it'll go along with the pace is space. Space in the floor. Last year, especially when John Collins is on the floor, Trey was having, John Collins and Clint, without having Gallo and healthy Bogey, it really clogged the middle of the lane. So having that spacing, and also with the pace, I did forget to mention this, you saw a lot more turnovers this preseason, what we're used to out of the Hawks. Some of that is just because it is preseason. Some of that's going to be, because we are pushing the ball faster. Turnover is going to be because of that. But and then the last 2 things is the threes and just the sheer number of threes we were shooting. And not just shooting, but also it's like Quinn was asking these guys, hey, let it fly. Quinn even said, I'd be more upset if you pass on taking an open 3 than if you do take it and miss it. We definitely saw that, and defense. This team, please prove me wrong, Hawks. If any of y'all listen, don't take this the wrong way, but this is not going to be a top 5 defensive team. This is definitely an offensive first team. However, you just saw the team playing a little bit more. Perimeter defense has been the struggle for this team for the past couple of years since Trey has been here. It's we really kind of funneled things to CC, and basically had CC and Onyeka had to clean up a lot of stuff on the interior. But I saw more aggressive defense on the perimeter. And what we want to see out of that is getting more turnovers and getting the ball into transition faster. That's some of the overarching themes I saw. Another thing I kind of saw is just going to be how fun it's going to be to see Quinn kind of set this lineup every night. I mean, we got, at the 4 spot, I know a lot of people wondering, like, who's going to start? Is it going to be Bay? Is it going to be Jalen? Or, I'm just kind of looking at us. We got a lot of great kind of very, different kind of lineups that we can throw out there. And between the 3 and the 4 spot alone, I mean, we got Bay, JJ, Hunter, Bogey, AJ Griffin, and that's just of the big 9. Of course, there's Wes Matthews can come in, but I saw just a lot of buy-in. It seemed like on the defense, getting better defensively. Even Trae Young in defensive stances. We saw it when Quinn came in last year. He started playing defense more. I remember in the 6-man session, we started a 2-way Trae chant one time because he was actually playing some pretty good defense at the time. But the biggest thing also I kind of saw there on the defense is like Trae was taking a charge against Memphis. It was called a block, but the bench erupted when he did that. And to me, that's really going to be a calling card because the defense, we've been ranked in the mid to high 20s in the league since Trae has been here for the past couple of years. I think for us to get to where I said that we need to be, that our defense needs to get into around that top 15 mark. And I think we can, even though our team's not, set up with the best defensive players. But I think, just with more buy-in and want to, that we can really get there. Some of the more individual stuff I saw, it's like with Trae Young, like he looks sharp. I love seeing him play off the ball, which I think is going to be actually very big for this team this year. I mean, for the past couple of years, it's pretty much been Trae's going against a set defense unless we're in transition, and having him play off the ball, it just really opens up a lot of different avenues in which, especially if teams try to put a bigger defensive presence on Trae, if they're having to then run around, try to keep up with Trae when he's moving off the ball, especially when he goes and stands in the corner. I think you're really gonna see Trae really take off this year. I mean, Quinn's directed him to shoot more threes. We saw that, against who was it? What team was it? Where are my notes? You can cut this out by all means, buddy. It was a Memphis game. In the Memphis game, he shot, 4 from 7 from 3. I think we need to definitely see Trae get over like 10 3-point shots per game. I mean, some of those shots were actually from the logo too in that game, but he's looked sharp so far, and so would Murray as well. I think both of them are coming to this season with a chip on their shoulder. I mean, I just saw the other day where Murray was ranked number 60 in the top 100 on ESPN's NBA player rankings, and Murray did not take too kindly to that. I think between that and Trae missing out on the Olympics, like they both seem to have a chip on their shoulder, and to see like Trae really step up with the defense, and Murray seems to be really vocal about getting better at himself, like getting back to what he normally is on defense. Last year was definitely a kind of a step back for Murray defensively. Definitely looking forward to that. Those are two kind of known qualities on this team. Same with Clint. Like Clint, you know what you're getting. I mean, our center like grouping between Clint and Onyeka is probably the best center, like in terms of just a position group, probably one of the best in the league, if not the best, between Clint and Onyeka. That's, we have all game just, two guys that can just kill it. And they both do things kind of differently. Clint is, one of the best rim defenders in the league. runs up and down the court. I'm not too worried about, CC Onyeka. He had a kind of shaky first game there against Cleveland. But I would say, with him and Jalen, you can definitely tell they're friends off the court. Onyeka's gotten better every year since he's been in the league. But with Nate, we took a guy that really had all of this, like, you go watch him at USC, like he had a lot more offensive skill sets. And with Nate and company, he just kind of was underneath the getting rebounds and putting up stuff, but putting the balls in his hand more. And even we got to see Onyeka throw up some threes. He went 2 for 3 one night. So, Quinn very much is like, hey, if you get out there and you're open and the ball comes to you, just take the shot. Even seen that with the bigger, with our big men. Now, if we get a Clint Capella 3 this year, like especially if it's at a home game that I'm at, I'm going to be going ape shit crazy. I would love to see a Clint Capella 3. I think that would take the stadium down. But the big and then of course with the other old head of the group, Hunter missed the first 3 games of preseason with a bone bruise. Came out against the Pacers, and I really like what I saw. Is really aggressive, driving to the basket, attacking the rim. He had against the Pacers, he had, I think, like 9. Was it, how many free throws did he have? He had 9 free throws in 20 minutes. Definitely like to see him be more aggressive. We know he has that pull-up mid-range game that he's pretty good at, but I like seeing him attack the rim the way he did. It's in a small sample size we saw him of this year. The biggest, kind of questions for me going into this year was going to be who's going to be at our 4 spot. And, Jalen Johnson and Sadiq Bey, both of them have really looked good this preseason. I still think Bay's probably going to be the starter. Hassan, one of the writers here for HawksFanTV, I was reading one of the posts that he had about can we trust the depths of the Hawks. Something I didn't know about Sadiq Bey. Last season, when he was on the court and John Collins was off, the Hawks had an offensive rating of 126. That is absurd. I really like. We know he can shoot. We know he's not the best defensively, but what I saw this preseason was, one, as you saw right off the rip in that Cleveland game, he put his head down. He drove aggressive to the basket. Really started back in the Boston series, but we know he is phenomenal from 3. He can shoot the lights out. But man, for his big size, to see him really drive to get those 2 feet in the paint and then put those shots up, really like what I saw there. And then defensively, even he was moving, moving through the screens instead of just trying to go around them. He's really seemed to step up his presence there. And same with Jalen Johnson. Like, I don't know who's going to be the starter. And I honestly don't care because I trust Quinn to figure out what's going to work best. I know Jalen and Onyeka, good friends. They might have them. And their chemistry definitely seemed to be, you could definitely tell their chemistry playing on the court. They seem to be friends. Now, Jalen and Trey do need to work on their love a little bit. But overall, I mean, Jalen had 2 real big, impressive games. In fact, even in the Cleveland game, it was Dominique that said, look, hey, JJ's going to surprise people this year. And so far, he has been right. What's also been really interesting to see, Jalen is a guy that, he's not the best shooter. He's not like Sadiq Bey. I mean, he definitely pulled the trigger without hesitation when he was given the shot. But what's going to be interesting with Jalen is I think he's really going to help out, not only defensively, but help out start the transition offense, no matter if he's starting or on the second unit, because he has some ball handling skills. He's a great passer. Usually, the Hawks, if one of the bigs catch the ball, CC catching the ball, he's looking around for a guard. That's taking a half a second or maybe a second. Jalen can get that ball and then, off a steal, off a rebound, and immediately turn upfield and start setting, start the offense. And that half second to a second, that's a big difference. And especially in the NBA, you get put more pressure on the defense, space the floor, find the open shooter. I'm really, really loving the overall team vibes. As of course, I think the only of the starters I really, the big nine that I really haven't talked about yet is, Bogey and AJ. Bogey didn't have the best stats. The guy, is older vet. We know what Bogey is. I'm not too worried. It is preseason. He just had an amazing showing at the FIBA World Cup. Serbia placed second. He was leading that team. I think that it was just, we don't really need to see. We know what Bogey is. He's one of the highest basketball IQ guys in the league. He's a winner. He's a leader. He can shoot from anywhere on the court with anyone in his face. So I'm not worried there. AJ Griffin, even though he started hot off against, Cleveland, driving to the basket, getting to the paint and then getting some shots up. He was shaky kind of the rest of it. And I'm not too concerned about that because we know AJ Griffin can shoot. So the shots weren't falling. It goes back to what I was kind of saying earlier. It's like, I'm not really looking at stats. I'm just kind of seeing like how people are moving. AJ definitely hit the rookie wall last year. He definitely, offensively, he's great defensively. He's got some stuff to work on, but he's still a second-year player. I think, sometimes we kind of forget that about some of your young guys, but, I just think overall Quinn just has all these, like, he's got buy-in from the older, the leaders of this team, but also the young guys. Like, I don't know, like it feels different. This team has kind of, I know someone else has made this comparison, but it's something I've been thinking about when Boothoser got here, and we had that 60-win season. Like, I just really feel like, what we're seeing from this team. Now, of course, let us go on a bad losing streak and see how this kumbaya stuff goes away. But there seems to be real buy-in all across the team. It's something I'm super excited about. We do have one more preseason game, and that is tomorrow against Philly, and that's probably going to be our dress rehearsal game. So, like, right now, we still have not seen our, starters all play together. So it is going to be interesting. What I'm going to be looking out for to see who Quinn does put at the 4 spot tomorrow. Will it be Jalen? Will it be Sadiq Bey? Will it be Onkongwu? Like, are we going to do something crazy with, putting Onkongwu and Clint together on the floor at the same time? But it is very interesting to see, what Quinn's going to do. I have a feeling, we should see tomorrow. It's definitely got to be the dress rehearsal. I mean, being that we haven't seen it yet, as well as the fact that our regular season doesn't start until Wednesday. We go to Charlotte. So I'm really going to be looking forward to that tomorrow. And I want to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Oh, yeah. Talking about exactly earlier when I was saying how many more threes that we've been putting up. These have been the number of threes that we put up so far this preseason. 41, 42, 42, and 26 against the Pacers. That's exponentially a lot more than what we used to under Nate. Turnovers did go up. Every game we had at least 20 turnovers except for the Pacers game. But again, it's preseason. I'm not really too worried about that there. Just overall, there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Hawks fan. I'm super pumped for this year. Of course, it's always super easy at this time of year when everyone's record is 0-0. I mean, ours technically is 3-1, but it's preseason, and after Friday night after the game, it all goes to 0-0. But like I said, there's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of reason to where everything I've seen so far has not deterred me away from the predictions I made last week. When me and Mac both kind of almost, funny enough, he said I predicted a 45-win team. I predicted a 46-win team, both being the 4th seed in the East. And nothing I've seen so far kind of steers me otherwise from what I thought. But I'd love to hear what y'all think. I'd love to hear what y'all think of my analysis. I'd love to hear what y'all think of, me hosting a solo show by myself. Feel free to reach out to me directly at, Derek Freeze 81 on Twitter, also on Instagram, anywhere you can find me. Please subscribe to the podcast, please just go to HawksFanTV, check out our written work there. And hey, keep supporting the show. I'll be in this for those of you that have been paying attention or been following along with us. I had my 6-man tryout with my wife for the Hawks Crazy Fan section, the Kia 6-man section, on Thursday. I got in. This is my second year, so I'm looking forward to being in section 121 with all my crazy Hawk fans going crazy again. We will be coming back next week to go over the final preseason game. I'll give a Matt to figure out if we're going to do a episode on that before the season starts, or if we're going to be coming back right after the start of the season. Unfortunately, I'm going to be missing the first home game. I'm very sad about that because I always love when the Knicks come to town. My wife is from Connecticut. Our whole family love the Knicks. So I'm actually going to be up there. So I'll be watching it I'll be watching it with the enemy. But thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for all the support. This has been a lot of fun. Like I said, please, if you have any comments or anything, feel free to reach out to us. It's been a blast. Can't wait to talk to y'all next week. Y'all take care. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.